We have the NFL draft starting tonight. Where they're going to get the next Jamarcus Russell or the next Joe Burrow. The NBA playoffs move on, and baseball, for some reason, likes to keep hitting the New York Met players. This is the We Don't Know Sports podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome back once again to the We Don't Know Sports podcast. This is Chad the Mark with
Mr. Brown
and
Canadian Biggie.
What is up, everybody? I'm glad to be inside here. I've been on the roof all day like Biggie normally is. I feel like I got sunburn on my lips. Make that make sense.
I was on the roof yesterday all day at Toyota. It was only like 62 outside, but they got a white roof there, reflective. I got home and my head and my neck were just hot. What's going on here? It wasn't warm. And doggone it, if I didn't get a sunburn all the way up the back of my head to where my hat was.
Now, wait, do you have the ring of death on the back of your head?
I can show you when we're done here. It's not the ring of death, but it could be death.
Okay, so Biggie's got a bald head, and if you're wearing a adjustable cap, you know, you typically have that little sunspot there. Yep. It's just a little love tap. That's
got a new hat this year, so I don't have to deal with that.
All right, well, that's good. Glad you're making changes.
I'm glad he's back to his Canadian roots this week.
Right.
Not Buffalo,
not
Boston, Biggie, whatever
week.
he says he was.
Well,
I immediately went to like Buffalo Bob in my head.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill.
Yeah,
it's NHL. It's playoff time of year, and I'm just not enough into my hockey fights. Beards, playoff,
dude,
Lord Stanley's Cup.
I
feel like I'm not representing Canada.
We don't represent hockey at all. That's why we had Mr. Brown had to go find people on the internet just to run our hockey group.
Yeah, we got 6 new admins, and they're doing a nice job so far. So thank you.
You got to be better than what we were doing.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Bonehammer. Hope you're listening.
Set the bar pretty damn low.
He did. That's all right. So, Mr. Brown, you're a little excited tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like my second Christmas morning already this spring.
And why is that? Explain to the listeners why you're so excited to watch some baseball tonight.
Well, the best player in baseball is making his debut tonight.
Ooh. Freddie Freeman's coming back to Atlanta?
Yeah, he's DHing.
You know,
Olson's a better fielder.
You know how there's a bunch of different days throughout the year, and you find out this is National Siblings Day, Middle Child Day. You know that you can petition or put a form out to have those become your day. So if you were going to do that, what would today be?
You could make it National Ronald Acuna Jr. Day?
Acuna Matata Day.
I like that.
Matata.
Did you just make that up?
Yes.
We need to get started.
That'll
on a
look
shirt
good on
that.
a calendar.
All right, so
T-shirt.
It's awesome. But like me and Biggie's heading down next Friday, or I'm Friday, he's Saturday. But I was supposed to be at the first game. Acuna came back on May 6th, but 2 things: he's been blowing up minor league pitching and running around like a crazy person, diving head first, stealing bases. I think he already had 4 stolen bases at AAA, and the Braves aren't hitting, and the Mets are off to a very hot start. So they're like, you know what? If you're going to play 9 innings down there, you might as well just play it right here.
Maybe he thought that he had to make it back to the bigs. Like, he's got a contract. Does he know that? I mean, you know, he doesn't have to
His agent
going
clearly
all out like that.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got a contract if you want to call it that.
You can thank Turbo Tommy's Mets for making the call-up happen.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting some pressure on. But I real quick, since we're talking about going to games and minor league ball, so, you know, we have a minor league team, not affiliated, but here local in Charleston, the Dirty Birds, if you will. So I took in the sights and sounds the other night.
Isn't it the Atlantic League? Is that right?
I think it's the Atlantic League.
Okay.
Yep. They were playing a team from Long Island. And I was telling Mr. Brown this earlier. It's kind of different because these are all guys that don't have any minor league eligibility, right? So they're done with their call-ups. So these are guys that have already been in the show. They all have experience. And I found myself with Google out every time somebody came to bat, and you're like, oh, they've been on 3 major league teams, or this guy actually made more than $1 million one year. So, like, they're guys that have played, and some of them have World Series experience. Like, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, it's a much better quality of game. And like, even though it's just the minor league, essentially, these are guys that have played in the majors. They're just trying to get an opportunity for somebody to see them, so they give them another shot.
Still just playing because they love the game so much, hoping to get one more shot at the show.
Well, they probably like the money. I don't think the $1,400 a week they're getting in Charleston's helping pay the bills. But you know what? That's still better than working at McDonald's.
True. True. I mean, you play the game as long as you can, because when it's over, it's over. Then you got to do something real for the rest of your life.
So I wanted to bring up some fan interactions, and I love minor league ballparks and how they have their different promotions and things like that. But there wasn't anything special going on Saturday night, except for they had fireworks. And Mr. Brown, you and I went to a Reds game separately, but at the same time, and you had some fan interactions there, and you were getting the bleachers a little rowdy, right?
Oh, yeah, we had a couple rednecks. They were down in their, I'm trying to think their Miller Lights, one after another. I think they were pretty well drunk when the game started, but they were like the kid on Rookie of the Year, and he was like, "Come on now, batter kid! Come on now, kid! Oh, throw down the middle now, kid!" And they were just feeding off of each other, and these were like 50, 55-year-old men, two of them. So then, I was like, I'm going to have fun with this. Anybody that's ever watched Impractical Jokers, one of Sal's punishments was he has to get up in the front row and start chanting, "Let's get sexy." And they'd start clapping. I had a whole section, about 40 fans doing it, just to get those two guys riled up.
You were in left field and I was in right field, and I could tell where you were sitting.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, that's a compliment. But anyway, my experience that day was different. I had a jackass in front of me that stood up the whole time, and I was about ready to throw him onto the field. And it's fine if everybody's standing up, but we're not in the bleachers, and the guy directly in front of me decides to stand up randomly. And, you let it go a couple times, but then eventually you got to have some words. But that was my experience. So I go to the local minor league game, and the first thing, I have two interactions. I have people in front of me and people behind me, okay? So there's some guys sitting in the very front row. I'm in the third row, but I can hear them. And there's this one guy who looks like he's got like the Cro-Magnon man jaw. Like the bottom jaw sticks out way further than it should. And he's got the
cartoon character
neck tattoo going on, the gold chain, glasses, and douchebag haircut, douchebag baseball hat. All right. So he's there with a couple of his other friends who equally look douchey. And they're having conversations, and I can't really tell what they're talking about because I don't care. But eventually, it comes up that neck tattoo guy, he can throw in the mid-90s. Like he's got the heater, and he started.
But he's watching the game from the seats.
That's the fun part, right? He could actually be out there. Now there's a guy warming up in the bullpen that I'm listening to. Another fan who really follows this minor league team knows this guy throws in the 90s, right? And you can tell, man, we're like 10 feet away. You can hear it. You can feel it. And this guy with the neck tattoo is telling everybody that sits next to him, $50, I bet I can do it. There's a radar gun here, and he starts taking, he's got $200 on all right. Oh, we got $300. It's $400 now. And I'm just looking at him and I start telling my wife, I was like, look at this moron who thinks he can throw in the 90s. Like, there's no way. Like, I will bet a paycheck this guy cannot clear 90, because he does not, like, he looked like David Wells with a neck tattoo, okay? So, like, let's just be honest. And I don't think he's conditioned the same way. So, at some point, we make eye contact, and all I can do is just shake my head at him, and he's just like, what? And all I can say is, no chance in hell. And he said, you want to get on the bet? And I said, you ain't even worth my time. I said, you're not even going to get on the field for a radar gun. I'm going to laugh when you can't even get over 82. And that's all I said. So I apparently pissed him off enough to where he walks down they have the old school bullpen. It's not really a bullpen. It's just the warm up right there on the foul line.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the catcher and the pitcher over there, asking where the radar gun is. And of course they oblige him and tell him it's like, what's actually up top. They just shoot it down. And he's like, I got a bet going. I need to show that I can pitch 95 miles per hour. And the pitcher just laughs. Like, and like the guy's so defeated, right? But I'm like, I just start like, so when he walks back, I just point at him and go, just laugh at him. Yeah. I was like, how many beers have you had to sit there and you legitimately think you could just cold go out there? And he's probably like 35, 40 years old. Like, what is this? The rookie? Like, no, that ain't happening. Like, what do you do if you're sitting 10 feet away and you hear that conversation? Do you engage like I did, or do you not?
It would be hard not to, especially if he was adamant about keeping it going.
Like, he wouldn't sit down. He's like trying to get as many people to take bets as he can.
Yeah, that's when you have to engage. If he's just sitting there with a buddy and you overhear a conversation of I could do this, I could do that, whatever, who cares? When you're standing up and you're taking away from my experience or making yourself a part of everyone's experience there, then you got to run that guy.
I would have been great. There's no way dude had money. Like, there's no way, like, if he loses that bet.
When he lost that bet, he'd have been running 95 miles an hour.
I mean, I'm telling you, if he looked like the kind of guy that if he threw it as hard as he could, the ball's going to go like 3 feet in front of him straight down because he threw it so hard that he had no control and he just spiked it.
He'd make 50 Cent look good, right?
That's a great comparison. So, all right. That was number one. Number two, the people behind me had been having a couple drinks, and I'm ignoring their conversation as long as I can, but they started talking about Jonbu. Do you know about Jonbu?
Oh, tell me about Jonbu.
You don't know about Jonbu?
I do not.
Man, I've heard Jonbu 5 times, we'll say 6 times, maybe 7 times at this point, and then they finally referenced Jonbu's rum. Do you know about Jonbu's rum?
I know of a different guy's rum, but not Jonbu's.
Oh, what? Who do you know?
Greg, whose swimming trunks do you have? Whose T-shirt do you have?
The one and only Jonbu.
No. I think it's Jonbu.
It must be right?
No, I mean, I don't think it's Jonbu. It's Jonbu.
Jonbu?
It's Jonbu.
I got to tell you, of the 2 stories that you've told so far, this is the one where I would have had to say something a lot sooner.
Yeah, right. So this is what happened, though. I correct him into it being Jonbu.
Yeah.
And he wants to say it's Jonbu. And I'm like, you need to go watch the movie again. So
ask him if he has Allstate insurance.
So it spirals into a trivia night of Major League now for the next 2 innings, where this guy who thought it was, and I could tell he quit talking about Jonbu once he Googled it and realized it was Jonbu. But then he decided to start asking his buddy some other questions. And it was like, who's the name of the catcher? And they're like, I don't know. Tom Berenger, I know that much. They're like, yeah, but what's his name? They're like,
so how many takes was it before they got Jake Taylor?
Dude, it was like I got Jake Taylor. Like I'm like, it's Jake. Like they were just trying to get his first name. They go, Jake, what's his like? Taylor. Like, come on, guys. You know, and then like they'd be quiet for a minute. What was his girlfriend's name? And then the one guy's like, I knew what she did in college, though. She was a swimmer in the 400 medley. Like, you remember that, but you can't remember Jake Taylor, you son of a bitch. Like, it's terrible. And then I was like, it's Rene Russo. And then it got into the owner, because I guess one of them was a Reds fan, and you know, I can lament that right now. You know, let's talk about selling the team, Bob. But you know, what was the owner's name? It was Rachel Phelps. Come on. I was like, you guys are asking trivia about a movie everybody should know if you're even sitting in a ballpark right now. Like, you guys need to go watch it again. This is terrible. And I was like, who's the manager? And then they're like, oh, it's that one guy. I was like, I got to see a guy about a set of white walls. Get back to me when you know it's Lou Doran. But I mean, it's just,
yeah.
Or Lou Brown.
Lou Brown.
Doran. I was combining. See, now I'm a
Roger
jackass.
Doran.
They got me so screwed up. I'm combining names. Lou Brown. But anyway, it was that was painstaking. Like, I can't sit there and listen to they were sitting right behind me, and they were sitting 4 seats apart. So they're shouting at each other so they can hear. And
Do you feel like you remember the players from the Major League team really well from the first one?
Yeah.
Pitchers, everybody.
Like, I thought everybody knows that.
Well, I have a question for you. It's just weird that we would get on this topic.
Jonbu.
Me and Acuna Matata had a conversation earlier, and it was about a guy we went to high school with. We were talking baseball, and brought up Eric Stevens, who was a pitcher on the high school baseball team. Remember Eric Stevens from high school?
Yeah.
Okay, who is he as a pitcher for the Major League team, Cleveland Indians?
Is he just trying to hang on? And when you get a little older, you're going to do whatever you can to put on that ball to make sure it gets over the
You
plate.
put snot on a ball?
God, I feel like I've gotten so animated now. I can't remember his name.
I can see his face, but I can't remember
know
his
his name?
name.
No, give me an initial. Just give me a letter.
H for his last name.
Oh my God.
Chad, I'm kind of disappointed because you're usually an ace
I know.
on movies.
I'm looking right at him. You saying Jesus Christ can't throw a curveball?
Yeah.
it's not Hansen or anything like that. It's I don't know.
I can see his
remember
face. No, I can't remember his
It's
name.
Harris.
One of the most. He might as well be Smith, Joe Smith.
Yeah, but great movie. But I felt disrespected by the fans behind me. It took away from enjoying a baseball game because I got to hear their nonsense over Jonbu.
And that's what sucks too, is that you're there to enjoy. So you expect some loud up and down between you, even the guy standing up if it's a big play. But when you stand up the whole time, or you try to engage people and, hey, give me $20, I can do this. It takes away from it.
I don't drink anymore, right? So it's for me to get agitated and not be, a little fluid, that's there's something wrong with you then.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't be that agitated. Rather that, or that's my problem. My wife said I'm more fun if I drink, so maybe I need to go back to the bottle. All right. Last thing I wanted to ask, just on the subject of baseball, what's happening? We talked about the Mets and them putting pressure on the Braves, but why in the hell are the Mets getting beanballed by everybody right now? Like, are they on pace to get hit like 200 times this year? Like, what's happening?
How many times did the Cubs hit them in one series? I feel like
I don't know.
the Cubs throw at everybody. No, that was the Brewers.
And then the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I know Buck Showalter's pissed though.
I was reading something that I think they were complaining about the baseballs. Like, I don't know if they want a humidor like Coors has, but they were complaining that. And then you're hearing some pitchers talk about that. Well, we don't have the sticky stuff anymore, so we're not quite as in control as we used to be.
Well,
Sounds like a cop-out excuse to me.
It does sound like a cop-out excuse, although with all the rules are changing, why don't they come up with a substance that every pitcher can use equally that allows them to control the ball? It's better. It's player safety.
Yeah, and then you can market it, and you could sell it, and you could be a millionaire, Biggie. Let's do this.
All right. This is our path
Make
to
our
retirement.
own spotter tack, whatever.
I like it.
I mean, why not? So anyway, they're getting hit a lot, and then Arenado gets one high and inside, doesn't hit him, but he gets pissed off, and we got a benches clearing brawl. And I was listening to Mad Dog talk about it, and he said, I know people aren't going to like this. He said, but it's actually kind of good for baseball.
What I liked was a tweet that Gronk sent out, and it was a picture of the benches clearing, and he said, enough of this. If the bench is clear, they all have to fight.
Well,
enough pushing and shoving.
They were saying it's not bad for baseball because in the middle of the NFL draft, which is going to be later tonight, the NBA playoffs are going on. Baseball, it's cold. It's a slow start to the year. We already had the lockout issue. So, hey, let's throw a little heat on here and see if we can get people talking about it. I mean, I'm not saying it's orchestrated, but I can also see baseball saying, I don't care if the benches are clearing. It might get us on SportsCenter. I mean, hell, half the time they don't even want to cover baseball anymore.
Mr. Brown's good with it as long as it's the Mets getting hit because he wants first place.
Yeah, I don't want none of my Braves getting hit, especially not Acuna. But I'm excited to play the Mets coming up here soon.
Well, you're not playing the Mets tonight. It's the
No,
Cubbies.
the Cubbies.
They already start?
Yeah, I was behind on my pregame.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we're 23 pitches in already.
Yeah, and they already scored, so we missed them.
Oh, who scored? Was it
was an
Acuna?
Austin Riley
Riley hit a
solo
home
home
run.
run.
Riley hit a home run. Ah, man.
It's future Hall of Famer, best thing since Ken Griffey Jr., Jason Hayward.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier because we were talking about draft prospects and not which we're gonna see if we can hit or miss on any of these NFL guys tonight. So you got any predictions you want to hold? We don't know the draft yet, so we're just saying you got a prediction quarterback in the top 10.
Well, I think Willis will go top 10.
Go to Carolina.
Yep.
I'm with you there.
And the other thing is, I think whoever passes on Jordan Davis is going to regret it. He's projected to go like 13 or 14 right now. He's the next Aaron Donald. They always talk about you got to have in rushers, edge rushers. He's a 2-down guy. How do you disrupt the quarterback? You do it up the gut. He's a freak as far as his size. He runs like there's no tomorrow. He's on the national champion Georgia Bulldogs. He should be a top 5 pick.
Well, we'll see if that comes to fruition. We got NFL draft talk coming up later once it starts. All right, so Biggie, your Bulls, Mr. Brown, your Bulls, they didn't get it done, man. They lost. They're injured, depleted, whatever. They didn't have their point guard, but the Bucks, they put them to bed.
Two things suck about that. Games 1 and 2 in Milwaukee were competitive. We lost game 1, it was close. Won game 2. Gave me hope that they might make this a real long competitive series, but to the death of me, Grayson Allen, who hurt one of my favorite players, Alex Caruso, absolutely killed us in this series.
Wait, did you see where they were booing him sarcastically?
Yeah, he wants his teammates to boo him. He said it gets him more pumped up.
How many games did you say they've won against them in the last? It was like
the Bucks have won 20 of the last 22 matchups with the Bulls.
Ouch!
They beat them 8 out of 9 this year.
Yeah, they making them their bitch.
I mean,
yeah.
like we didn't have Lonzo, but the fact that they lost Middleton for the whole series and he's out for this whole upcoming series against Boston. You think we'd have a chance, but I was telling Biggie last night, like you got these teams that are playing with this type of edge now on defense. The Nets weren't one of them. The Bulls aren't one of their Bulls are finesse team. You got people like the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah,
they're like they got this edge to them. The Bucks have that edge,
and the officials have kind of taken a step back.
Yeah,
and they're like, "All right, boys, it's playoff time."
Look at some of these scores of the playoff games. Like you just said. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's like they're playing defense again, but it's playoff basketball and they're letting them play a little bit.
Well, it's like even like the Warriors and Nuggets series, like you figured that'd be high scoring and it wasn't really. But all right, but to the Celtics and Bucks series coming up, like you're saying that you think that might be the must watch series.
Yeah, and I was talking about that edge, and I didn't even bring up Boston, which is probably the edgiest and most defensive team of the playoffs.
Definitely.
I think it's going to be the best series. The next series coming up. I love what the Celtics just beat that breaks off of the Nets. It was great.
Oh, murdered them.
I think that the Bucks will win, but it'll be 7 games.
So I think that's the de facto Eastern Conference Finals. So winner of that wins the conference. And I'm with you. I think the Bucks win it, and I think it goes 6 or 7.
Even without Middleton.
I do. The thing about the Bucks in this first round series, the way they've played throughout the entire season, they're not playing like a team coming off a championship. They're a team still hunting a championship, and I think it starts with Giannis and trickles down.
And I'll tell you why I think that they'll still beat the Celtics. And everyone was praising how Tatum was playing defense on Durant. He played him a lot, but the thing is, Giannis ain't Durant.
He's not.
Durant is the type of guy that when the pressure's on, he's not going to impose his will. Like if he can't find his jump shot, he ain't going to be the guy that's going to back you down and dunk on you either.
So let's stop there just for a second because we get, well, especially Biggie, gets kind of labeled as being LeBron bashers and LeBron haters, right? Biggie, you own that label, correct?
110%.
Okay, so a lot of people were throwing shade saying, well, where are you going to be at when it's KD? And here we are. KD cowered, crumbled, and fell. Like it was bad. And it got to the point where it just seemed like he wanted the games to be over. He wasn't even taking shots in the last 2 games.
Well, KD in the last game had a big game. He ended up scoring like 37, but it was almost like he was going to put up his numbers just so he could say he was there. But it's the same thing. There was a reason KD went to Golden State and played. He is a great hooper, and in his own words, he wants to hoop, play video games. He's not a leader. He's
not an alpha, man.
Yeah, he went to the Nets.
That's the best way to say it. He's not an alpha.
He's a beta male.
You give him Kyrie and Ben Simmons, there's no way he can rein those two in. He doesn't have the ability to do that.
Well,
he didn't have to rein in Ben.
You don't have to worry about Simmons.
But Ben was going to play in Game 5, but he just didn't realize it wasn't happening.
Yeah,
I'll be Game 8.
You can't be out there like he is, jumping teams and have that much of just a fall on your face. It'd be one thing if you lost in the second round. Maybe it's not quite as bad. Not only did you lose, you got swept. I mean, you just got it stuck to you. Bad.
The only team to get swept.
Yeah. I mean, I love what the Celtics did. And like I said, Tatum played great defense, but I do not think he can man up Giannis.
No, you're probably right. But I saw the clips of the defense and like Durant, yes, soft, crybaby, whatever. He folds. All right. He needs to be the B guy. If he's the A guy, it's not going to happen. Even when he was at OKC, you could probably say Westbrook might have been the A guy.
He can be the
Westbrook
A
was
player.
definitely the alpha.
Yeah. So all that being said, I lost my train of thought with all that. Damn it. What were we talking about?
We were talking about how KD sucks and we're going to move forward in the playoffs without him and Flat Earth guy.
Oh, but the defense that the Celtics were playing, like, it was exhausting. Like, he couldn't even get open.
I've never seen Durant, who we've talked about as being one of the smoothest, easiest to score guys anywhere on the floor.
Probably the best pure offensive player ever.
He had to work just to get shots off against that defense. Just to even get the ball.
And then he's shooting, and there's like two guys in his face. Yeah. Like, it was ridiculous. And they're like, yeah, go ahead, have Kyrie beat us.
Well, one of the things I love about this next series, look at the head coaches for Boston and Milwaukee. You have Mike Budenholzer from Milwaukee and Ime Udoka. I'm not going to say his name right, for Boston. People in Boston wanted to turn on him 10 games into the season. You know who their disciples of? We always talk of coaching trees. They're both pop guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they run a specific system. They play defense, and their stars are held accountable. I just really like where this is moving. I'm glad, personally. I picked the Nets to go a lot further than what they did. But with KD and Kyrie out, LeBron not making the playoffs, one of the real nice things is that we're actually getting even coverage throughout all these teams, as opposed to what's it?
It's not dominated by anybody.
I'm not hating. LeBron's one of the greats, but when LeBron is in the playoffs, even
we know what ESPN does.
Oh, I mean, it's LeBron.
That's not a knock on LeBron. That's a knock on ESPN.
Yes, I agree. It's not a LeBron knock.
We're not.
ESPN.
Yeah, because when LeBron's in the finals, yes, he deserves the coverage, but like, when it's the play-in tournament or the first round, like, no, we don't really care. Let's talk about some John Moran or something like that. But we'll get to that in a minute. Just sticking with the East, Biggie, you got your fingers crossed. You're watching with bated breath tonight if the Raptors can lock up the series tied at 3 games apiece. Because what is your boy Doc Rivers known for?
Choking,
specifically.
Doc knows how to blow leads. If Doc wasn't as well liked as he did, you'd know that he has 41 potential series closing losses as a head coach.
Is that a real stat?
It is.
I felt like he just pulled it out of his ass.
He blew a 3-1 lead when he was an Orlando head coach, but they were the 8th seed, so I give him a pass on that one. When Boston did win their title, they went to 7 games in every single series except for one. They played the 8th seed Bulls in the first round that year with Ben Gordon. Went to 7 games, never should have. They were up 3-1 in multiple series.
Is it a home road thing? Is that what it is?
I don't think it's so much home road, because they always get up 2-0, 3-1, then they blow it.
They're at home.
Yeah.
They're usually a good record, so they got home court.
But you look at the Lob City days when he had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. 3-1 up against Houston with James Harden and nobody else. They were up 27 in the third quarter and blew that. Let's go all the way back to his Celtics days, playing the Lakers in the finals when they would have had their second title. Game 7 in LA. They're up 13 going to the fourth quarter, a game that finished with both teams under 90, and they blew a 13-point lead. It follows.
You rattle this off so well, I feel like you might dislike Doc Rivers just as much as you dislike LeBron James.
No. I like LeBron a lot more than I do Doc Rivers.
There we go. We got to figure it out. Overrated, right?
It's just one of those deals. Let's see. I'm done with the Clippers. I'll go jump and be the Sixers head coach.
My favorite thing you've ever said is Doc Rivers is a coach that'll take a great team and make them good.
He's the best at taking what should be great and making it good.
I mean, there you go. All right, so I'm kind of rooting for the Raptors with you. Although, man, I do like Embiid. Man, I'd love to see him get something, but.
I know the Raptors aren't going to do anything. I would love to see Miami against Philly. Just what I want, personally.
I mean, is Miami a threat at all in the East? I mean, I know you feel like the de facto championship is going to be, the Celtics and Bucks.
If you ask me, I say hell no. I wanted to go crazy and have the Hawks beat them in the first round. I think they're the most overrated 1 seed in the history of basketball as far as finishing 1 when I know that their record put them there and they play defense and all that, but I don't think they're nearly as good as Boston, Milwaukee, Golden State, Phoenix.
Let me put you on the spot here. So who wins the Philly-Toronto series?
Philly will end up winning the series, but I think it's going to go 7.
It's going to go 7.
All right, so Philly
wins. So Miami-Philly.
Miami will win.
How many games?
Well, they'll win in 6 games for 2 reasons. One, the reason this will go to 7 tonight is because Thibault for Philly, he can't play in Toronto because he's not vaxxed. The reason that Philly loses in 6 games to Miami is the same reason. Have you watched James Harden play? Do you realize he's the old guy at the Y now who can't get off the floor? Yep. He can't score. He's barely getting 17 points a game.
That's part of that's because he's actually playing defense a little bit. And I don't think he's used to that. So now he doesn't know how to condition himself to do both sides of the floor.
You're taking a Sixers team that should win that series with top 75 all-time James Harden and possible league MVP Joel Embiid, who's playing with torn ligaments in his hand. They should be in the Eastern Conference Finals. They won't because of 2 reasons. Doc Rivers and James Harden got old right before our eyes.
So, all that being said, not bad for the worst number 1 overall seed in the history of the league to go in the Eastern Conference
Finals.
By default.
Overrated, but we're
default.
here.
You know what they are to me? They're the Chicago Bulls the year before Derrick Rose blew his knee out. They had a great regular season record. They lost to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you knew when the playoffs started there was no way they were ever getting out of the conference.
All right.
That's how I feel about the Heat.
All right, let's flip over.
And Jimmy Butler and his stupid Ninja Turtle headbands. All right, move on.
Let's flip over to the West. All right, so we still have a couple of series going on. So we got Phoenix is playing right now.
Phoenix and the New Orleans Pelicans. They're playing right now, and I think
is this just because Booker's hurt?
Well, he's back tonight, but if Booker wasn't hurt, I think this series is either clearly over tonight or over in the last game. The Booker loss really hurt him.
I mean, he's their star. I mean, say what you want about Chris Paul and whatnot.
Booker's a stud.
And Eaton's great, but Ayton, it's Booker's their 30-point guy that he's gonna lead you through. So are they gonna walk away from this, or they gonna?
Yeah, they'll take the series.
I mean, they should.
Yep.
I mean, I felt like it was already over, and then what's tied? It's nuts. But
some of those guys who were former Lakers. When LeBron went there and they traded for some veterans, have really benefited from moving away. Brandon Ingram is one of them. He has really blossomed. He's been carrying me at a 30 the other night. The thing about the Pelicans that I would love to see, and we all know it's not happening, let's say they steal the series and they get to the second round. Zion, instead of giving me those 360 dunks, give me 15 minutes a night.
His 15 minutes of fame is about up. Speaking of Zion, any chance he plays at all in the playoffs?
I wish, but I would have to say no. I don't think there's any chance.
It's not happening. All right, so you got
So real quick. So you got Zion and Ja Morant.
Well, yeah, that's where I was going to go next. But go ahead.
No, I posted this in Big East League group the other night. The fact that you got Zion and you got Ja, both got drafted by non-traditional NBA powerhouse teams. You got Zion, who's acting like a little bitch about it. He ain't want to play in New Orleans. Nope. And then you got Ja, who's want to impose his will and make Memphis what it is.
But Memphis is a historical NBA town.
Yeah. I mean, they've seen the likes of Big Country Reeves,
Rich,
Abdur Rahim, all those types of good guys. But I love the fact that he has that dog mentality, and he wants to put the team on his back and make them somebody.
Well, and they were a 2 seed this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not messing around. Now, you got Minnesota, which you were mentioning earlier about teams that are just fighting and clawing. And, man, Minnesota, they're a hard team not to, root for right now.
The only one guy on their team that I don't root for is Pat Bev, and I'll give you this stat like Mr. Brown's just talking about Ja. After Patrick Beverly scored on Ja Morant and hit the too small celebration with 4:25 left in the game, every single Memphis point from that point on to the final buzzer was scored by Morant. Completely took the game over, and he's been getting a little crap through these playoffs about not being able to do that.
I hope Morant is the guy that's ready to take that torch for this next generation, because you're about to see that changing of the guard. But, man, it's been a fun series, and we were down here. Was it last week? We were doing the show, and it was like a 20-point lead, and then it wasn't a 20-point lead, then it was a 20-point lead again. Those games have been just kind of crazy. But, I think Memphis is ultimately the one that you're going to see make a little bit of a run here. But you got the series wrapped up last night with the Warriors and the Nuggets. And Jokic, man, he was doing everything he can. He's got the team on his back. He's got busted hamstrings or whatever's going on. And, man, just Golden State, I was listening to the players talk about like they forgot because they haven't been in the playoffs for 2 years. Like people don't realize that. The Warriors have been out of the playoffs for 2 years. They forgot what it's like to close out a team, and they said that's why they didn't sweep them. We had to just remember what it was like to put somebody away, and they put them away last night.
Well, two things about last night. One, there's nothing better in the NBA right now than watching Steph Curry when he gets the feels and he's just shooting shots that shouldn't go in and they're nothing but net. And two, the Warriors kind of right now, I heard this on the radio earlier today, and it made me think of the mid-'90s Bulls where they win 3 titles, Jordan retires, they're in the playoffs, but they're not so good. The Warriors were in the finals 5 straight years, and then there's a couple years injury. Durant leaves, Curry's hurt, Clay's hurt. Oh, they're all done. They reload with young talent, Kuminga, Poole, Gary Payton, Wiseman,
Gary
if
Payton
he could ever
shouldn't
play.
be in the league, really, and he's like a big contributor. Like he was left in the wasteland.
Now they're looking at making another run to the finals, and with the ages they have of Clay and Steph and Draymond, with this young talent, we could see them back to where they were before for the next 3 years. Right. I just think it's fun to watch them play.
And the West is going to run through Golden State. I don't know who else they're going to be playing in the final. I feel like the West is wide open, but I like the Eastern Conference matchups better.
More competitive games, or just
and I
the
feel
way
like
they stack up against each other.
I feel like they're going to be better series. The East, for once, I feel like the West. I think the Warriors will move them pretty easy next round, and then I'd like to see. I don't know if it'll be the Suns or the Memphis going against the Warriors.
Who won is the Mavs Jazz still going? Or the
Mavs and Jazz Game 6 is tonight. The Mavs are up 3-2.
And Doncic is finally playing, so and I saw they won the last game, and Brunson still decided to score a ton of points. So I don't know, maybe they'll be a fun team. We'll see what happens, but I'm with you, Mr. Brown. The East is going to be a little bit more, I think, competitive matchup wise, or at least style play. That and we get to hope Big East Doc Rivers led Sixers blows another lead. That itself is entertaining.
It'll be depending on how it finishes out. The way I called it, you're going to have Suns Mavs in the second round, and then you will have Warriors Grizzlies in the second round.
All right.
I hope Doc does blow it so we can have our whole podcast next that week will just be called Biggie Mania.
Yes. What you going to do,
Back again.
Don't you know? Woo! I say let's take a break. We got the NFL draft kicking off here. The Jaguars, they're on the clock. So let's stop doing the show and actually watch some sports for a minute. All right, Biggie, we've been watching the NFL draft here for a hot minute. We are all the way through the first 10 picks, and man, the quarterbacks are just flying off the board.
I've never seen anything like this.
This is reminiscent of E.J. Manuel and Geno Smith being your draft class.
At least Geno's still in the league, man.
That's true.
He could be a starter this year.
But no quarterback in the top 10. I had been asking people that like all offseason if there was going to be a QB in the top 10. I didn't think there would be. And then a lot of people thought Carolina might get a little frisky.
A little antsy and go for one. I saw where I was listening to DP show, and Paulie had a bet that a QB would go in the top.
I think it's 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still got, we're on the pick 11 with the Saints who just traded up. So we'll see. But they got Andy Dalton though, baby. They're not.
Jameis Winston, right?
I mean, you can look half full, half empty, whatever. I'm going Andy Dalton, but
they're set at QB.
they have depth beyond depth. The interesting thing is we went all defense in the first 5 picks, I think.
Yeah, we didn't hit anything else until we got to, I think, Drake London, first wide receiver off the board.
First offensive skill player. That was like, what, pick 7 or 8?
That was pick 7.
Pick 7?
And we went defensive end, corner, defensive end, offensive tackle at 5.
We've had a few linemen go.
Sorry. Yeah. 2 tackles went in a row and then a wide receiver. So the last 5 picks have been offense. The first 5 were defense. It is weird not seeing a quarterback in the top 10. And it's really weird, too, when there's not a quarterback projected in the top 10. It's like the draft doesn't have the same buildup. Like, can you imagine here in a few years when, unless something crazy happens, Arch Manning is coming into the NFL? Or next year with Bryce Young for Alabama. The build-up's just going to be super unreal.
Well, I'll tell you what, you talk about the buildup. What I don't understand is, Trayvon Walker goes number 1 overall, which it was kind of a coin flip between him and Hutchinson, but he wasn't there. He was at home in Georgia. Like everybody else has been there. And he's sitting, he's the number 1 overall pick, and he's like, he hates Roger Goodell already, and he's not even in the league.
He was going to do the Elon Musk, and that's why he didn't go.
What does that mean?
I saw this thing today. I posted it in your football group, and it was a fake tweet from Elon Musk saying, "I'll give an extra $10 million to whoever goes up on stage and punches Roger Goodell in the dick, and then does a gritty off the stage."
That'd be all right.
That's why the number 1 pick wasn't there.
That's why we tune in for the NFL draft, is for moments like that. So, I like what they do is they bring out like Make-A-Wish kids with Goodell so they don't boo him every time.
Yeah, it's really nice for those people, but then it's a way to keep him. He gets the initial boos as he's walking out, and then they pipe down a little bit.
Is that Tony Gonzalez talking?
It does look like Tony Gonzalez, but what's he doing when
It's like the Chargers?
Yeah, when the Saints are on the clock, why is he out there talking?
I don't know. I don't understand anything that's happening right now.
I'm confused. Where's the value, Matt? Why are we talking?
I don't know. Who's that little guy?
Not sure.
Nah,
I'll find out later. It must be a trade or something.
Nah. Oh, it's Austin Eckler.
Wow. An NFL running back.
They're right. You can't recognize NFL players when they wear a helmet all the time.
Yeah.
All right. So back to more nonsensical things. One of the questions I asked you earlier is, like, would you want to attend an NFL draft? Now they've taken this thing like a block party, and we've seen Nashville, Cleveland, and now Vegas.
I would go to Vegas to watch the draft, because when the draft's over, the party just begins. You know what they've done when they took it out of Radio City Music Hall? They went from being the draft where all you had were these Jets and Giants fans, Eagles fans that would show up, go crazy.
Just that little Northeast corridor people.
They made it into a national deal where, like, when it was in Nashville and they had Tim McGraw and some other people performing, they make it an event. Like, the draft is just part of the weekend.
Dude, there's a lot of people here at this thing. And maybe, hey, we got another wide receiver off the board. So you look at the crowd, and they got like part of the boulevard shut. Is that Sammy Sosa?
Oh,
no.
Sosa sighting.
It looked like him. Anyway, they got the crowd really packed in there. I guess they're at the MGM Grand and the Bellagio, kind of like that area.
Yeah, they were supposed to do a thing when they were going to have it here originally before COVID hit. And they were talking about, let's have the players come over on a little boat up to the stage. That got shot down, of course, but would have been really cool to see.
We can do that whenever they do a Florida one or something,
I think it's cool that they move it around now, and where it's like actually kind of a weekend event. I see a lot of people. There's this girl who's a huge Dolphins fan that I'm Facebook friends with that I've never met. And she was with a group of people traveling from Miami to the draft, even though Miami traded their first round pick, just because it's such an event now. And it's in Vegas this year. It's an excuse to go to Vegas for a weekend, have a little bit of fun.
And the nice thing is it's still daylight out there. By the time the first round's over, your nightlife's just beginning out there in Vegas.
Yes. You know Vegas well. You know this is just the prelude to better things.
Man. And the thing that also is amazing to me is the same teams that always have these high draft picks, they'll go to like live via the stadium, and there's like 10,000 people in the Meadowlands or 10,000 people in Jacksonville, Duval. I mean, just like,
you know, the other thing
for one pick.
Could they make this walk out to the stage any longer? Like, no. I feel like this is a build-up for a boxer or a pro wrestler where they're just playing his music and he's like they're twisting and turning. It's amazing.
Not every pick is the main event, And at the same token, do we still need as long as we do for them to actually make these picks? Like, why do we have to wait 15 minutes? Or I guess it might be 10.
They shortened it to 10.
Why can't it be 5?
You would think that at this point they should make it 5. You know what I would love? I would love if it was 5, and it could be like, remember back in the day, who missed their pick? The Vikings. Their time was up. So the team behind them was like, really wanted a player, so they turned their pick in right away. That's how it should be. You should get like 180 seconds to make your pick, and if you don't, the team behind you makes their pick.
We say that, but then at the same time, we do a fantasy draft, and there's definitely people that take 5 minutes or longer to draft a fantasy player.
I am occasionally behind the times as we get into the draft because I end up talking to people that I haven't seen in a while.
You're in the war room.
But now, if you have 4 or 5 people with you, you should be able to make that pick.
Right. And like it's their job to scout and research all of this. Like it's not the same.
It's just like if you do a draft online for any fantasy sports, you have guys in your queue. Oh, he's gone. Okay, I'm taking this guy.
Yeah, but then you instantly regret who you take because you didn't have enough time to research. Because they only give you 30 seconds.
I just want to say this. Kurt Warner is a silver fox. He's aged very well.
You like you some Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch his movie?
I still haven't.
You got our TV package and you still ain't watched it?
No.
Have you seen the new Batman yet?
No.
What are you doing with your life?
I watch the Mariners lose and I listen to music.
There you go. I get you. Listen to anything good? What type of music you been rocking out to lately, Biggie?
Everything made from about 1950 to about 1998. Nothing newer than that.
No 99?
Nope.
You know what my favorite thing was about the late 90s with rap is how many rap songs had to say what year it was.
Yeah, it was like as they got towards the millennium. With
1998, yo! I mean, why were we doing
the
that?
Chronic 2001.
Like, that doesn't age very well now.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Nobody's going like, 2019, baby!
They all thought the world was going to end when we hit the year
Y2K
2000.
was real.
Yep.
Hey, it wasn't going to happen. All right, so... That being said, NFL draft, you'd probably go if it was in Vegas, but if it was in Kansas City, would you go?
Barbecue. I'm a fat guy.
Right,
I like
what about
that.
Cincinnati? It's not far.
I would go to Cincinnati. It's close.
Pittsburgh?
No.
What about D.C.?
No.
Nah. Baltimore?
No. I go to Miami. I go to Tampa.
Ooh la la.
Dallas. Phoenix. There's some cities that are attractive.
So what about Houston?
No.
Dallas?
Yes.
Okay. Just because it's Jerry's World and that's where they'd probably have it.
Dude, Dallas is a pretty cool city.
I can't say I've spent much time in Dallas. Only drove through it.
I've passed through a couple times, and I feel like
you don't know then.
I would like to stay longer.
You don't know.
One side of the town is people in souped-up trucks and cowboy hats, and the other side of it is guys in souped-up tractors and cowboy hats.
Isn't the speed limit in like Dallas like 90?
Well, it's basically don't get in a wreck and you don't get a ticket.
Something like that. Like it's loosely enforced, whatever it is. Hey, our Lions are on the clock. I wonder if our Lions fans out there are excited about this.
Well, they just made a trade. Ooh, Jameson Wilson down.
Man, now, they went up to get a wide receiver.
It flows better than proper 12. That's all I know.
I hope.
I'll say this.
Wide receivers are falling off the board here.
Yeah, I think that's why they traded up when New Orleans traded up to 11. They were like, ooh, Olave's available. We've got to go and get him. Now you're going to see a run on wide receivers. I just have one question for you. We kind of talked about this earlier. DP Show had that thing, top 13. Does a QB go? Do you think a quarterback goes before the Steelers pick it? They're at like 19 or 20.
I'm not even convinced the Steelers take a quarterback.
You think that if because what I heard was Mike Tomlin is just enamored with Willis.
Yeah, I mean,
Nick
and
Willis.
maybe I mean the fact he's still out there and Carolina didn't move on it.
Yeah.
It makes you think that the Steelers, are they going to feel pressure like they have to take the quarterback there?
If they don't have to trade and he falls to him, I think they take him.
Hey, here's my question. I don't even know who the best rated one is. When's a running back going to come off the board?
I have no idea. I don't think a running back comes off the board in the first round. I'd be really surprised. In other years, you've at least had guys like Josh Jacobs a few years ago when it picked 24 to the Raiders, and you expected that. But there's no Saquon in this draft that you're just thinking is going to go right now.
I mean, what? Just not draft any running backs now. You know, they're all just throwaway positions anyway. Everybody treats them that way. Let's just not draft them.
The guy that I am looking to see where he goes is Jordan Davis for Georgia. Athletic freak, the biggest guy out there. He runs the fastest, and he's the best player
he's
on
due.
the defense of a national
he's
champion.
Due coming up here.
He's like Aaron Donald 2.0. I know that's really high praise for a guy that has never played a down in the NFL, but I just feel like all these teams that passed on Jordan Davis are going to really regret it.
Dude, our friend that we hooked up with during Super Bowl week is back out in Vegas. Old Darren Smith from KC.
I saw that. Yeah.
You see who he's with?
Oh, I have not.
He's with Ice Cube and Pac-Man.
Well, that's one hell of a weekend in Vegas or at night. If you look through the top 25 players projected as far as best player on the board, there's not a running back in them. And we're at pick, 13? So that's no first-round running backs.
Who's the highest rated running back?
The highest rated running back is...
I'm just curious. We have to look it up because it's so bad. All right, where's Google? This is the crack research you get from We Don't Know Sports. Running back draft. All right, let's see. Brees Hall.
Yep, Brees Hall of Iowa State.
Right. I mean, he's a stud.
Kenneth Walker II, Michigan State. He had some killer games this year. James Cook, Georgia. Isaiah Spiller's the guy you were talking about earlier, Chad, Texas A&M.
Yeah, he's slow.
But yeah, if you look down through these names, there's just not anybody that sticks out to you even for a second. Now, one of these guys will end up being a stud, but not sold on him.
I don't know. Brees Hall's pretty good. Maybe he could be the next David Montgomery. You never know. Iowa State keeping the running back tradition strong.
Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ryder, Matt Corral, Sam Howell. Of those five, they're the top 5 rated quarterbacks. If you had to pick one of those 5 to still be in the league in 6 years, who would it be?
Malik Willis. I said that earlier. Malik Willis is going to be the guy that I don't even think he plays right away. You know, he'll be a guy that I don't know. I'm not even confident in that, though. You know what I mean?
Yep. For some reason, I like Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. I think he has the athleticism to be a guy in this league for a while. He's going to be like a Marcus Mariota where he's still in the league and all of a sudden, how is he a starter again after 7 years?
Hey, all it takes is a big, bad contract from Matt Ryan to get dumped to another team and you'll get desperate, I guess.
You know, the biggest thing about us sitting here talking about this draft is the fact the draft went from being Saturday and Sunday on ESPN.
It's Thursday.
It's primetime television.
Dude,
it's a show
know
in
what
itself.
They're doing. They know what they're doing. Even when we had the pandemic, they're like, no, we're still doing multiple days of an NFL draft. Like they could have just posted the results, but nope. We're going to have people in their kitchen.
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick's
camera crews out and then the first 2 or 3 rounds, everybody was in their own home. You were interviewing them over Skype or Zoom or however they did it. You had Roger Goodell and his bowl of jelly beans or whatever.
You had the weird stuff going on at Vrabel's house.
Yeah.
Like the guy in the bathroom, just looking at I don't know what the hell that was happening about, but that was something.
But I mean, that's the NFL for you. That's why they print their own money.
And now we're in Vegas. Who knows what we don't get to see?
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm not going to say I sit there and watch all 4 days, man. I know there are people that do, and I said this to Mr. Brown earlier. I'm just apparently not that big of an NFL fan as some people, man. The people that show up to the draft, this is an event. It's like going to a Super Bowl. It's like going to a game.
Well, you know who would go to the draft every year if they could? Bonehammer Bruckle. Me and him used to sit down and do mock drafts together, and we do fairly decent for our first round. That's all we do. It's hard to project trades, but me and him would actually get together for the draft. We'd have a couple beverages, we'd order a pizza, and we'd watch every pick through 7 rounds.
But that was back when it was 2 days.
Yes, before they switched it.
Right. And that's a little bit more manager. And
we get into it. It
would start at noon on Saturday.
We do mock drafts where we'd argue over who our team should be taking. He's a Vikings fan. I'm Patriots. He'll never be there in the 5th round. What are you even thinking?
Yeah.
That was
I've never done a mock draft, man. I just don't care enough.
I don't know. Something in me thinks that I could be in that position and do well at it.
You see Mel Kiper and his line main, and you're like, it can't be that hard.
If Mel Kiper can do it, anybody. If he get
in a fight with the Colts organization back in the early 90s. I was
going to say, he's famous for that and the fact that it got out that.
Who the hell's Mel Kiper?
If your agent's willing to throw some money his way, he'll start moving you up his mock drafts, which ends up moving you up in the draft.
Imagine having that type of stroke, man. Just well, you want to be all right, Baker? You want to be
Todd
number
McShay.
1 draft pick?
My favorite draft guy ever has been Mike Mayock, and then he got a job as a GM with the Raiders and just didn't go well. So, knowing what you're doing in the draft and projecting guys in real life, completely different.
Absolutely, because you're playing with house money. It's not your money.
Damn right.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up and call it a night on the draft here. We're going to sign off without a quarterback being taken.
There's no Joey B in this draft.
There's not even a Herbert or a. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if there's even one going to go in the first round now.
Would Dak go 4th round? Yeah, there's no Dak in this draft either.
No, and that's the thing. Like it's really the 2013 draft.
You know who's in this draft?
EJ Manuel and Geno Smith.
Mitch Trubisky.
But Trubisky was a top 5 pick.
I know he's top 5, but look where he is.
He's
Played
a
on
starter
his team,
for
went out,
a
came
playoff
back.
contender.
All right, Mitch Trubisky's a bad. Sam Darnold.
The Swamp Monster is
He's proven to
starting
not
quarterback.
be good. He's not any good though.
He's good enough for them not to draft a quarterback.
They're going to trade for
Just
Baker
saying.
Mayfield. That's the only thing that's disappointed me so far.
No trades.
Debo Samuel, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, they're telling us all this cool shit that was going to happen, and then none of it
doesn't.
happened.
Yep.
Like Devo and the Jets. Could you imagine Devo? I went out of San Francisco. All right, you're on the Jets.
Yeah, baby.
Congratulations.
It's being like that reporter we were talking about earlier. Debo, welcome to the Jets. They've lost a lot the last few years. Have fun.
Yeah, they're not propping these guys up, these early picks. All right, the Eagles. Any chance they take a QB?
No way. They are all in on Jalen Hurts.
You got to be, right?
Yeah.
What do you take if you're the Eagles? All right, Mr. Mock Draft.
They need help at corner.
You think they go defense?
They should.
How do you get to be these guys on stage? And who are the people handing out the hats as the people make the 2-mile walk from the gallery into the stage area?
Well, these have got to be like local high school athletes.
Yeah, Bishop Gorman. That's a Vegas school right there. He's got the Georgia patch on there. Is that G for Gorman?
Gorman.
You would know.
Yes. Hey, they are a high
Las
school
Vegas
powerhouse.
student athletes.
High school powerhouse, Bishop Gorman.
I bet they're getting NIL money.
Dude, they send a lot of kids to the league that sends a lot of kids to the pros. I just want to see this one pick.
They're not showing the pick. They're going to make us talk to these kids that nobody cares about, and it's blah blah blah. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, they took your boy. Who was your steal of the draft?
Jordan Davis.
He's an Eagle.
Defense. I was on the right side of the ball.
All right. Well, there you go, Biggie Damas.
I am glad that he went there. You know, I don't know why. We'll finish with this. I'm really excited right now that he went to the Eagles because I thought for sure he was going to go to the Baltimore Ravens at 16. The Ravens draft, they kill the draft. They've done it for
and
they were in 25 years ago.
Interior lineman that's just killing people.
He's their next like Haloti Ngata or whoever.
Right.
Yeah. I am
Tony
happy that he is
Saragusa.
not in the AFC because he's going to be a dominant Pro Bowl player.
All right. Well, we made it halfway through the first round almost. This is as good as time as any to stop. I don't think people want to hear us dissect like pick 21 or anything like that. But, man, it's been fun, and we'll see how the rest of it shakes out. And you know what? We'll call it a night right there. Biggie, you have a good weekend, brother. And you going to do anything fun? I don't know, man. Well, you got baseball. Is it still going on with the kids?
Yeah, baseball through tomorrow. Saturday's actually an open day as of right now.
Wow.
But the church is having a cleanup day inside and outside. They got some pews to move out of the gym. Going to go over, help them out. And then hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, we can start running some open gym.
Trying to get your foot in the door, literally.
Yeah.
If I was not working, I would come help you just so we could come play some ball. But speaking of, man, are your kids on their losing teams still loving playing sports?
Oh, hell no. If I didn't have a rule in my house where you don't have to play next year, but you don't get to quit, both my kids would have quit. Between the two teams, the middle school is 1-10, I believe, and the high school is 1-17 or 1-18.
All right, so they make the Cincinnati Reds look good. I'll take that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for letting us invade your ears once again. We'll be back same time next week. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next time, and bye-bye.